It's so good to be here with everybody. And briefly, I am a coach practitioner through the Wright Foundation for the Realization of Human Potential, an MBA and PCC certified coach. And I'm glad to be on the GSAEC board, co-chair of the membership committee and the membership engagement committee. And without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our first speaker. Her name is, and this is about, of course, igniting possibilities in coaching with art and creativity. And Andrea Giraldez-Hayes is a chartered psychologist, master practitioner coach, and supervisor. She is currently course director of the MSc in Positive Psychology and Coaching Psychology and co-director of the Wellbeing and Psychological Services Center at the University of East London. With a background in arts education, and community arts, Andrea started using music, drama, and visual arts as a resource to having meaningful conversations years before she became a coach. So making the connection was a natural progression. So we're going to first meet Andrea, and then we'll meet our second speaker, Desiree. So thanks so much for being here today, Andrea. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lori, and hello, everyone. I'm really grateful for being here today, talking about a topic that I'm passionate about. I want to give a special thanks to the organizers. This is the conference that I remember that people have looked after ourselves a lot before coming and being here. So thank you very much. And thanks for the participants, for being here. So, as Lori said, I'm chartered coach in psychology, but this is my second career. I started training as a coach in psychology 12 years ago after a long career, first as a musician and then as a community artist, working for an international organization in more than 18 countries in Europe and Latin America. Somehow, I started coaching people before I became a coach, and I did it through arts and more specifically through community arts. I think I can share something. Is it everything fine? Can I continue like this? Okay, thank you, Lori. So what you are seeing here is an example of that moment, working as a community art. And this picture was taken in one of my works in Dominican Republic. I was working with a group of fishermen and I was helping them to redefine their identities, to think about their aspirations, their goals, and the things they needed to let go to make that possible. In the conversation and in the creation, they decided to create these paper boats and write in them all the things they wanted to let go. And as a symbolic act, we all decided that they were going to let the boats go through the river. We used special paper because we were aware that we didn't want to contaminate, but we all sat down there and just seeing, the boats go through the river. If you're not familiar with this concept of community art, it is defined as an artistic activity that is based in community settings, and its main characteristic is the interaction and dialogue with the community, and often it involves a professional artist collaborating with people who may otherwise have no contact with arts and no possibility to engage as a community. In my coaching practice, I work with a variety of media. I like working with music, like working with movement, with objects, sculpture, photography, and visual arts. And it all depends on the clients. Some clients engage better with some things, some clients engage better with other things, some clients don't engage with this and they just want to have a dialogue. And we need to be aware of this because it's not about imposing, it's about inviting the clients to have a different experience. But I think that creative techniques, and I'm gonna call them now creative techniques just to use a shorter term, they can be used as a catalyst to deepen insights and enhance communication during the coaching session in ways that couldn't be possible using words alone. So today I will bring some examples about using photography and images, even though, as I said before, we can use other media, but well, in 10 minutes, I needed to decide what I was going to bring today. And I think visuals always, help us to think in a different way. So let me start by saying that I understand coaching itself as a creative process. And as a matter of fact, we talk about the art and science of coaching. So coaching itself is a creative process. And it is important to understand also that creativity is not only related to arts, although arts can be a good medium. But I also include this idea of everyday art, creativity. So actually we do many other things in life that can be creative and can be used in coaching. But if we think about coaching and arts in general, we can say that creative coaching can use a humanistic approach to look at different parts of the self and explore these different parts of the client or the self in more detail, aiming to raise their self-awareness and promote change. We all know how hard it is to put into words some ideas and some feelings. And when we are working with this media, it becomes easier for the clients to go deeper and to explore some things, some thoughts and some feelings that otherwise could be very, very difficult to explore. So we can say that creative coaching works alongside talking coaching, if we can use the word used in therapy. We talk about creative therapy, talking therapy. We can do the same, have the same license in coaching. And it can be used as a way of breaking down some barriers by offering the clients alternative ways to express. There is not enough research in coaching, and we need to start by recognizing this. There is not enough research about arts and creativity in coaching, but in the last few years, we are seeing more and more evidence-based experience and some papers that are being published and some chapters and a couple of books, not too many yet. I really enjoy with my MSc student, my master's students, even though I don't have a lot of time to supervise, but every time that someone says, I would like to explore arts and coaching, I said, okay, you come with me. And in the last few years, I had the opportunity to work with many different students that were interested in the topics. And with some of them, we were able to publish their research. The one that you are seeing there, for example, is with Beth McManus, and she explored the use of music and music marking in coaching supervision, and it was a qualitative study. We have also explored using journaling and creative writing in coaching, and also the use of visuals and sculpture. So to compensate the lack of research in coaching, what we do actually is to base our work on the results of very, very many studies that have been held in the fields of art therapy, positive humanities, therapeutic art, and therapeutic photography. So it's not art therapy. Therapeutic art or therapeutic photography is another approach. It's an approach to work with people that, as in coaching, they are not distressed. They just, but we can use, the medium to work in a different way. So I think there is a very, very important body of research that can teach us a lot, about what we can do in coaching and can help us to understand that art may be one of the most powerful mediums to help people to become aware of their thoughts, their feelings, and also broaden and build their emotional regulation skills. For example, when we use visual arts, we can allow people to connect with their feelings in a way that is new, and it doesn't involve excessive verbal control, because here it comes one of the ideas, when we are thinking, when we are talking, sometimes we are controlling our words, we are controlling what we are going to say. When we are using arts in different ways, it's sort of the control, goes down, and then we can go deeper and explore other dimensions of ourselves. And as in therapy, coaching can involve, more than dialogue. So we have a lot of experience in therapy using arts, and we can do the same. And actually we do, and there are many colleagues doing it, fortunately, in the realm of coaching. So as I said before, probably we need more research, but you can draw from the research using therapy, which is actually we have done, in coaching psychology for years, using the research in therapy to understand our own practice. So there are 4 psychological concepts that I would like, to take into consideration in this very brief presentation when using arts in coaching. So before I refer to them, I would like you to close your eyes. It's going to be just some seconds, and to think about a moment in life that probably happened recently or a long time ago when you felt extremely happy. And try to remember that moment with as much detail as possible. And I wish we had more time, but we don't, so you can open your eyes. And my question would be, well, how was the experience? And did you see something, or did you only, think in words? And probably there were some sounds in the memories, there was some music, there were some smells, some emotions and physical sensations. So this experience I wanted you to practice this very briefly to understand 4 psychological concepts that can be taken into consideration with talking about arts and coaching. The first one is mental imagery. That can be defined as pictures in the mind or visual representations when there is not an environmental input. We can also have musical imagery, physical, so it's not only visual. The second one is visualization, and we know that coaching has its roots in sports coaching, and visualization is one of the most powerful techniques used there, but also used extensively in coaching. The third one is savoring, and that comes from positive psychology, is that idea that we can use our mind just to savor something that happened in the past or something that we want to happen in the future. And the last one is the use of metaphor as a psychological technique. I think the 4 of them are involved in coaching. As I said before, one of the techniques I use is the use of photography. And what you can see there, this is one, photography is one of my favorite techniques because I think you can do many things there. But as you can see in that picture, that was to talk, about how to reconnect, to our experience in life and the things that help it as a coping mechanism to escape, from the pressure of work. So in that case, I took that picture and I had a conversation with the coach. And in that case, for me, it's about walking and it's about music. And I remember that experience, we spent probably half an hour just talking around the picture. It could have been really difficult for me to put things in words in a different ways. So when using photography, sometimes I ask my clients, to bring pictures from their past, and they talk about the better moments in their past. Sometimes they take pictures of things that are meaningful for them. So there are different ways of using photography, but it's a very, very powerful technique. I'm aware of the time, it's 44.
Yes.
So just 1 minute. Sometimes I also offer pictures to the client and ask them, well, what does this picture tells you about yourself? And a picture can be very powerful, a powerful mean to help the client to think, well, what does this picture tells to me? And just to finish today, the other thing that I do and we can do is have coaching sessions in art galleries or museums, and we are just having conversations and we stop in front of an image that tell us something to us and to our clients. I'm aware that this is a very brief presentation, but at the same time, I hope it was enough to have an idea of the kind of work we can do and bring to coaching.
This was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Stay tuned because we'll have some time afterwards to dig deeper. But thank you so much, Andrea. It's my pleasure to introduce our second speaker, Desiree Cocroft. Desiree is an experienced facilitator of over 20 years. Her coaching and consulting are grounded in the intention of elevating the hearts and minds of her audience while also igniting them to take inspired action. Desiree is ICF certified in life and leadership coaching, along with additional training in cultural competency, executive coaching, and strengths-based coaching. She holds a BA and an MBA in business administration from Hampton University, as well as a BA from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee in dance. Desiree, I'm so looking forward to learning about your coaching practice.
Thank you so much, Lori. And I'm so excited to be with you all today. 10 minutes, so I'm going to make sure I stay in between my time for this. So I have been a dancer all my life, and I did not start training in dance until I was about 28 years old, and I was in class with 18-year-olds that have been trained in ballet and modern most of their lives. And so it made me really be uncomfortable, but I stepped out to do that and had that difference. And so it taught me so much, and it gave me a heart for people that were non-trained dancers and the ability to start something later. And so with that being said, as I moved into doing more work in coaching, I realized how powerful bringing the two worlds together were. One way I brought it together is doing a lot of leadership trainings while I was still the artistic executive director of my dance company. I'm currently the board chair, but while I was running the organization, I used a lot of dance in our leadership trainings. Some of those people that were a part of our leadership trainings were trained dancers and others were not. And so a lot of the things that we did there, I realized how powerful using body movement and helping people connect that movement to something that they desire to do or desire to overcome was really powerful. So my current coaching clients, I've been infusing it, and most of my coaching clients are not dancers. They're not trained dancers, and I've found that they've also really enjoyed the experience. So it's something that I'm looking to do even more. And my hope is by 2024 to have an app to use with my coaching practice so that they can use dance in their lives outside of our coaching sessions to help them make those connections. So I want to, have you have an experience with me. That's why I'm dressed comfortably in dance. And so if you're able to move or you desire to move, we're going to do a movement activity. And so before we get started, I want you to really set your intention. So you can close your eyes. And you can take a deep breath in and blow it out audibly. Take another deep breath in and blow it out audibly. Now I want you to think about something that you've been desiring to do, something that may be in your professional life. Maybe you've been desiring to focus on your business. Maybe you've been wanting to make some moves in wherever you work. Or maybe it's something in your personal life. You've been desiring to do something different in your health, create more boundaries for yourself at work. Whatever that is, go ahead and set your intentions on something you've been feeling a little held back around, but you know you need to do it or desire to do it. All right, so if you've gotten that in your head, you can go ahead and open your eyes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to count to 8. I'm going to use 8 counts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to be our tempo. I want you to, with different body parts, lead your body in those counts. All right. And so I'm going to push back so you can see what I mean. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to be really loud. And so what I mean is you can count. We're going to use our hands to initiate. And so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So whatever body part I say, use that body part to tell you where to go. It's my initiating body part. So wherever my hand goes, that's where I'm going to go. All right. So we're going to start out with hands. All right. So 5, 6, 7, use your hand. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep going. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. All right, so we're going to use our elbows this time. So wherever your elbow goes, you take yourself there. I know it's weird, right? All right, so 5, 6, 7, take your elbow in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. One more body part because I'm watching my time. So we're going to use our shoulders. All right. Whatever shoulder you want, wherever your shoulder goes, you go. All right. 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. All right, we're gonna come back down. We're moving. We're moving. So I want you to think about, what did you feel having done that activity? Go ahead and throw it in the chat. What do you feel like now? What things are coming up for you? You can give me words. Is it awkward? Is it that was strange? I know. Energized, fun, loved it, energized, loosened up, a little freer, energized, connected. That was great. Loved it, warm, energized, joyful, awesome. Flowing, yes, nice. I moved, my body seemed woke up, right? Right? I love it. And so just in that small amount of time, woke up, right? And we've loosened up, we've energized. So I want you to think about the thing, right? The thing we're holding ourselves back on. I wonder how you can connect those same feelings to the thing, right? Think about the thing. What are the feelings that you're feeling right now? How can you infuse the feelings of energize, looseness, freeness, love, all of that into what you desire to do? And if you can make those connections, then what's one thing you can do today? Right? Take that energy into the one thing you can do today to get you to get the first step going, right? So that's an example of how I would use it, because honestly, naturally, our body is going to create it. Yeah, Ursula, I love that. Yeah, channeling energy into new spaces. Exactly. How can we move what we feel right now into the other things that we're dealing with or we're worried about? Because honestly, how many times have you moved your hand just randomly on a day or moved your shoulder, right? And so I try to help my clients get out of their head, right? We get out of our head and get back into our bodies. I think somebody put in the chat somatic, right? So I've taken classes in, somatic training. And so a lot of it is, how can we get into our body, out of our heads, and our body will help us be more informed, right? If we can change some neural pathways in our heads when we kind of shift some things in our bodies. And so that's my hope. I'm also a positive intelligence coach. And so with positive intelligence, it is a lot about getting into your body, getting into your senses to eliminate some of the saboteurs that we deal with in our minds, that hijacking that our amygdala has. How can we get less times where we're being hijacked so we can actually move forward in the things that matter most to us? So I've used this mostly with my leadership team, sometimes with non-dancers, sometimes with regular dancers. But this has been something that I love to use along with other activities. Am I off? Am I good, Lori? Sorry.
Oh, yes. I mean,
Okay.
Desiree, both of you have done extraordinarily in a very short time. And I really feel so lucky to have had these experiences with both of you. And we have some really good questions in the chat. And I'm going to ask first Andrea and then you, Desiree. One of the questions that I really want to know the answer to is, how do we bring these creative coaching into a digital space? The tools. Now, you both just demonstrated it here, so I got that. But in addition to that, so you've shown us, but how do you do that regularly? And how do you choose which ones to use when you do that. And Andrea, would you answer that first and then Desiree?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because it's a little bit challenging, but we've learned a lot, during the pandemic. And as a matter of fact, artists kept working, using Zoom during the pandemic. But usually, for example, we can use images decks, and we can move the decks. There are some apps that we can use, but also I work a lot with 2 cameras, and it's not that it sounds difficult, but it's not. So the client can use, for example, their computer, but also a phone, and then we can see what they are doing, especially when we are working with objects. So we need to adapt. It's different to work online and to work face to face, but there are ways of adapting. And of course, you need to choose the technique you're going to use. With music, it's quite easy because you just play the music and it's there. But I would say that being able to use 2 cameras, especially if you're going to move things or create things, it's very useful and it's necessary.
Yeah, just to add to what was already said, I feel like the technological part is the biggest thing. I don't use music because sometimes I realize when I've used music without the additional equipment, some people can't hear me talking when the music is playing or leading them. And sometimes people hear it lower or delayed. And so I've chose to not use music. I'm sure there are other ways, but if we just have like a regular setup, which is what I have, just a phone or a computer, unless you have some high-tech budgets, I try to do the least amount as possible so that the delay doesn't happen.
That's great. And I see another question in the chat that talks about, someone mentioned feeling unbalanced, and there's a great connection to a metaphor that can be used in coaching on so many levels. When being one-sided, asking where are things feeling unbalanced, how can you be innovative and change things towards balance, etc. What are some comments that each of you, Desiree, let's start with you this time, that you have about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great segue when people are feeling unbalanced. Like, well, how can you, recognizing where the unbalance is coming from? Where do you think that's coming from? And allowing people the opportunity to respond. What would it take for there to be more balance? Do you think this activity got you closer to balance? Do you think if you did this more, would this help you get closer to balance? Because honestly, and I think we all know as coaches that no one's going to be 100% after we do our great activities. But how can we move people closer to where they desire to go? And I think baby steps should be celebrated.
Great, thanks. Andrea?
Yeah, I was thinking also probably Desiree can contribute, but we can feel the imbalance in our bodies, and then we can explore, what would happen if we created more balance in the body, but also in the life using the metaphor. So it can be quite powerful. How balance feels like, how it looks like, what does it mean?
Yeah. I mean, you were both, I got out of my head. I mean, you said, okay, what is your intention? And then I was in my head, but then there was a getting more to the feelings, to that part of my body, whether it was through the visual or the body movement. And I'm wondering, to our participants, how do you invite them to explore using these creative tools? Because it is quite unusual. Well, at least in my experience. And I'm wondering, how do you develop the courage to step into this?
Yeah, I don't know if I can start. I think contracting is really important, and having this conversation at the beginning with the client, explaining that what are the techniques we use. And some clients are really happy from the beginning. I've had clients that said, not with me, I come here to talk. And fair enough, we need to respect, the clients, what they want to do. But sometimes we were talking about the difference online and working face to face. When I work face to face, sometimes I have materials, in the room. And even the clients that can be a little bit resistant at the beginning, sometimes they say, oh, what do you have there? Can we try it? So it's like an invitation if you have some materials there. But it's not for everyone. It's for the people that want to engage that. And I think also you mentioned courage. It takes courage as a coach, to say, I'm still serious. What we're going to do is serious thing, but we're going to play.
I love that. It is a balance of both, right? Like it's a serious thing, but allowing ourselves to play. And I think there's benefit to play, right? And some people, especially as we've adulted, we've been scripted not to play, and play is one of the best ways to learn and to grow. And so it is a conversation that I have with clients ahead of time and ask them where their comfort level is. If they don't want to dance, I still use breathing. I still use like tense and release activities. So I do still do some movement, and most of them, because most of them may be inclined to meditation and things like that, they're okay with those kind of methodologies. And so I just meet people where they are, but I always invite them to have, more fun as they loosen up.
That's great. That's great. So I'm kind of, we still have a few minutes left, and I would love to give each of you a chance to speak to the key things you'd like the people in the conference to take with them as a result of what you've been sharing so beautifully with us. Andrea, would you like to go first?
Yeah, well, I would like to invite people to try some techniques, but I will also invite them, if you haven't tried them before, to try them with themselves first, because you learn a lot. For example, if you're going to use photography, you need to practice with yourself, and then try not to do everything at the same time, choose something. When I decided, I fall in love with photography, taking a therapeutic photography course with a Canadian lady and then with someone in London. So once we start using something, we need to go a little bit deeper to understand how to use it. But well, the first step, it's always trying something and seeing what happens, and then keep going. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing, like you won't know it until you do it. So, get some beta people that want to work with you, and just see how it goes, and, just keep trying it out.
Wow, terrific. So I want to really thank you, and Erica's, I don't know if there's anything else you want to share, Erica, or say, but I really want to thank both of you for being here today. This has been remarkable, and I will be practicing on some betas, they don't know it yet, to try out some of these methodologies. Thank you both so much.
Okay.
We want to thank everybody for being here as part of that. I'm an avid dancer. I pull a lot off the dance practice for this. I got my nephew painting in the other room, and for these pieces with the movement and bringing them up, and one of those tips that's really sitting us down are all of what you said. Take a minute, and sometimes I'll encourage people, for example, to use a colored pen or their kid's broken crayon when they're taking notes instead of whatever their regular pencil, to go to Andrea's point. That piece about even if you may notice that during the breaks today, even though Melvin, in all his perfection, didn't necessarily that with his warm welcome that set us off with the tone to be comfortable today, you may have noticed that during the breaks, I'm going to do it again right now, I've encouraged you to blink, to look up, to go and do something as you got up and moved a little bit in your chair. And I would say to do that as you're listening. If you start to get into your head and you want to start absorbing all that information that's coming in, do a little bit of this in the middle of the session while you're listening and let the ideas sink in. Not even just on the break. Have some fun and play. So we do have a minute or so left, and just with Andrea and Desiree and Lori, what a phenomenally amazing session in the middle of this day. So you've inspired us. Please do take a look at the chat. There's some other questions in there as well. There was one other question I want to make sure got answered that was pretty early on in the piece that came up before the imbalance and before the activity about the medium of art, and really thinking about those creative experiences. So I just ask everyone to take a look, because there's a lot of experience in this room. And Andrea and Desiree, if there were some questions that came up in the chat that I was so busy moving that I candidly took my eye off the chat for a hot second. But go on through, and I'd encourage you to answer some of the participants' questions that I didn't get to right now while I was moving and coloring, and answer them in the chat to make sure that they don't get missed today. So with that said, on that final note, this was, yeah, and the drumming, yeah, the drumming work and the experience piece, and the keep adding more in. Let's I want everyone to take a moment now to think about the fact that how amazingly this approach ties to the topic right now of coaching innovation. And just by the one comment that Wendy put into the chat, how much rich dialogue just went on for the next 5 to 10 minutes that everyone started to get new ideas today just by, and it wasn't even respectfully provocative. It was just like, I've got a question. I'm feeling unbalanced. Am I supposed to be? Could we do this? That to me is respectfully provocative. How to bring things up that gets everyone talking and opens up innovation. So keep doing that. So on that note, we want to give a special thank you to Andrea and Desiree and Lori for giving us a huge, not even a small spot, a huge spot of fun as we transition into our next session where we continue discussing the theme of innovation and coaching.